Your expected approach time 3-4, approach button 17, the altimeter 2997.
Welcome back to the DCS Situation Report, everyone. I'm your host, Prickly Hedgehog, and as always, I do hope this video finds you well as we hit the weekend and the DCS News Bulletin, which features the massive summer sale going on right now in the eStore and, of course, on Steam as well. As you saw earlier this week, an open beta patch was released which features the insertion of assets previously unavailable into the South Atlantic map. These include, of course, several naval assets, including HMS Invincible and Leander-class frigates, which are a favorite of mine, as they used to be operated by the Royal New Zealand Navy right up until the late 80s and early 90s. The changelog itself is too extensive to go through line by line, but some poignant updates centered on the progress being made on the Viper and the FA-18C are worth mentioning. According to the roadmap for the Hornet, the team are working on the following things. Gun sparks at night, which has apparently been completed internally. I'm especially excited about this for some reason. An update to the flight model for ground effect, takeoff pitch effects, autopilot based on the FPM model that they have, touch and go handling, and other remaining flight model issues. These are a work in progress. Loft modes, ARM, JPF, and other JDAM and JSOW are remaining functions which are a work in progress. The INS GPS full simulation and alignment, carrier and ground, that is a work in progress, and a discussion about that earlier this week was interesting, at least in terms of GPS INS. The UFC BU page, that is a work in progress. The Mark 77 Firebomb, a visual effect is first required, and that won't be available until after early access. And then GenX Decoy, this is also in need of some data, and that won't be available until after early access. Now, the team described that they have one encompassing feature that requires cooperation between the F-18C and F-16C teams, as well as the DCS core team and, of course, the third-party developers, to create basically a shared planning environment and set up some sort of agreement on a single strategy to support mission planning for many aircraft types. This includes an aircraft setup card in the options and a mission planning card for waypoints with properties such as sequences, target points, pre-planned targets, pre-brief targets, initial points, bullseyes, etc., etc. They also need MUMI and a similar page. So this is a complex task according to the team, and they have begun designing it, and they are working with all of those participants to create the best aircraft setup and mission planner possible. Now, this is really exciting news and a really exciting prospect. I think this will gel a lot of information that appears to be a bit fragmented between the different modules. There is, I know, a lot of demand from the community for all sorts of setup and basic training for modules, basic airmanship stuff too, which is another topic we'll come back to, but anything that aids in the proper loading and mission planning of the various aircraft in the game will be immensely beneficial. The Viper 2 is progressing nicely, as many of you may have noticed, but there are some things yet to be modeled and implemented. These include, but are not limited to, the Sniper XR targeting pod, the data transfer cartridge and mission planner, the flight control system's bit animations, among other things. Now, a lot of fuss was made about Wags' latest video on fix taking, especially pertinent on long trips apparently, where the INS systems can degrade over a period of time. Now, this was especially true, I understand, of older generation aircraft which relied exclusively on mechanical gyros for stabilization of the INS systems. They don't have GPS and other measuring tools to cross-reference time and space. There were, of course, some exceptions to this based on reading that I have done, but we won't get into that here just yet. Now, given the F-16 is a more modern aircraft, people question the need to even bother doing this. And in fairness, for short missions, it's probably not necessary. However, the clue was in the message, again, where Wags mentioned longer missions may require compensatory referencing. And as others pointed out, there are such things as GPS jamming, satellite interference, and other forms of jamming, and issues which may inhibit the system's absolute accuracy. The new systems use what is called Embedded GPS, INS, which is also known as EGI, and one manufacturer here in the US, apparently Honeywell, uses a system which is available on most military aircraft, or is on most military aircraft. Now, these systems measure linear and angular acceleration, linear and angular velocity, position, attitude, such as roll and pitch, platform azimuth, magnetic and true heading, altitude, body angular rates, time tags, and coordinated universal synchronized time. The company also invests in anti-GPS jamming technology, naturally enough. So there's a whole world of interesting tech here, and I think it hints a little at the seriousness in which the ED team takes their simulated products in order to bring us the accuracy that we demand as a community. And I felt it was a little bit ironic that some people didn't see that, but some robust discussion nevertheless came up on the topic. Now, it is a legitimate thing to debate and discuss, and much of this is really, I guess, well beyond my area of expertise. But my understanding is that while military GPS systems are more accurate than, say, a basic car GPS, this isn't to say it's flawless or subject to interference or even jamming, as mentioned before. Typically, you need 4 satellites for sustained accuracy, and shadowing and interference, as mentioned, can hinder the information available to the GPS system, or, for example, if the satellites are unavailable. Now, one incidence of this that I was able to dig up was an accident a few years ago, back in 2020, where a Block 30 F-16 tragically crashed, killing the pilot, who was unable to rectify an issue with the GPS system, which he believed was not connecting to satellites. Now, the HUD stopped displaying information as well, and the pilot became spatially disorientated at night, losing sight of his wingman, and ultimately ended up plunging into a forest at a fairly steep angle at around 600 knots. Now, I'm not sure if the fault has actually been recreated, and believe it or not, even an in-flight alignment wasn't able to rectify the issue because the INS needs the GPS when it's on the ground, and of course you need to be in straight and level flight to be able to do an in-flight alignment, based on what I was reading there. So if you're spatially disorientated, the pilot wasn't able to maintain that, and so the problem kind of compounded itself along with the nighttime, the use of night vision goggles, the loss of wingman position. All of these things contributed to a pretty tragic accident. So the GPS systems apparently use a coupling system with the INS. There is a close coupling and a loose coupling apparently, and one of the things you want to avoid is one system being dependent on the other. There's sort of redundancy built into it, because if the INS takes all of its measurements from the GPS and the GPS goes down, now basically both systems are out, because if there's inaccuracies in the GPS, you're going to have problems with, again, that redundancy. So it's a really interesting topic, but like a lot of topics involving modern military jets, obviously not everything is public information or is available to even read for the public. So according to Wags, he pointed out that their team was aware of this potential fixed need based on sources available to them. Now, those sources weren't cited, but again, it's an interesting thing. It will be relevant if you're doing short missions, but of course over a longer period of time, apparently that INS system can degrade just a little bit. So stay tuned for more information on that. Let me know what your thoughts are, because it's an interesting topic, like I said.
Contact. You're taking fuel.
Well, let's tack form over to a less controversial topic, and that's the massive summer sale going on right now, which sees a swag of savings on all of your favorite aircraft, modules, and campaigns. We'll start with 30% savings on the following: the A-10C-2 Tank Killer, fantastic aircraft, 30% off that. The Viper and the Hornet are 30% off. The JF-17 Thunder, 30% off. The Hind is 30% off. The Channel Map, Syria, and the Supercarrier, all 30% off. Fantastic maps there, Syria particularly. And of course, the Supercarrier bundles nicely with that F-18 Hornet. If you haven't got either of those, or if you own one and haven't got the other, well, make advantage of that 30% off, because it's a great one. The Tomcat is also on sale, believe it or not, and it doesn't often go on sale, I might say, so 25% off that right now. That is a fantastic module, of course. Now, more 30% savings on the following campaigns: the A-10C Iron Flag Part 1 campaign, the A-10C Operation Persian Freedom campaign, the Harrier Hormuz Freedom campaign, the Harrier Sky Warrior campaign, the Bf-109 K4 Jagdflieger campaign. I hope that's good enough German there. The F-14A Fear the Bones campaign and the Zone 5 campaign, both fun campaigns, those ones, for the F-14. For those of you that love the F-15C, the Georgian War campaign is on sale. We have the Hunters Over the Yalu campaign for the F-86. Whole bunch of campaigns for the F-18. Operation Pontus, Persian Lion, Raven 1, and Rising Squall. Moving on to some World War II stuff here. The FW-190 A8 Horrido campaign is on sale. The KA-52 Pandemic campaign is on sale. And when I say KA-52, I mean KA-50, not the KA-52. Which is not available in the game, unfortunately. The MiG-21 Battle of Krasnodar campaign is on sale. We have the P-47D Wolfpack campaign, the P-51D Blue Nose Bastards of Bodny campaign, the Spitfire 9, the Big Show campaign, the Enemy Within 3 campaign, and here we go, the Huey campaign, UH-1 Paradise Lost, rounding out the 30% savings there. That is on sale as well. So good stuff there. Great time to pick up some fantastic campaigns, I must say. Now, moving on to even bigger savings, 50% off the following: the A-10C 16-2 Red Flag campaign, the A-10C Advanced Aircraft Training Qualification campaign, the Basic Flight Training campaign, Stone Shield campaign, and Tactical Training Qualification campaign, all those for the A-10C. Black Shark 2 Republic campaign, Combined Arms Frontlines Georgia campaign. Here we go, more F-15C stuff, the 16-2 Red Flag campaign, Aggressus BFM campaign. Moving on to the F-5E, which is, remember last week, is getting a lot of updates right now. So this could be an aircraft worthy of going back over or picking up some campaigns for in preparation thereof for those updates. The F-5E, you get the Aggressive Air Combat Maneuvers campaign, the Basic Fighter Maneuvers campaign, the Black Sea Resolve 79 campaign. Moving back to the F-18, the Aggressors BFM campaign and the Serpent's Head 2 campaign, the L-39 Albatross Croissant, not Croissant, but Croissant campaign, the Mi-8, here we go, the Ka-50 Memory of a Hero campaign, Crew Part 1 campaign, Oil Field campaign, the Border campaign, all for the Mi-8 there, the P-51D Charnwood campaign, and the High Stakes campaign, the Spitfire Operation Epson campaign, the Su-27, the Ultimate Argument campaign, the Museum Relic campaign, the... that's a different one. That's not for the Su-27, sorry. And then, lastly, for the Huey, again, the Argo campaign and Worlds Apart campaign, Spring 2025. That is a massive number of discounts there. In other words, there's more reasons to splash out on something you've put off previously buying, perhaps, because these deals are outstanding. Big thank you to ED for that extensive list of goodies. It is really exciting stuff, especially over the summer. I know we like to be outside, but sometimes you need to take a break and do something indoors, right? Okay, now, a while back, ED had an Apache livery competition. There were 10 winners who were chosen. Congrats to those folk who participated. The various skins are available on ED's website in the Downloads User Files tab. And looks like there were some pretty stiff competitions there between those winners for those slots. So congratulations again. Now, to round out all the excitement in the community, we finally had released this week Baltic Dragon's Raven 1 follow-on campaign, Dominant Fury. There are, of course, a swag of familiar voice actors, including Jello from the Fighter Pilot podcast, Ward Carroll, and numerous other content creators on YouTube, including Ralphie Dude and several others. Unfortunately, there was no space for a New Zealand American accent, but if there ever is, you never know. All right, I had a little tinker with the first mission, which of course launches you into some beautifully cloudy, rainy weather, and naturally enough requires a Case 3 recovery. A Case 3 recovery, so it'll push you to brush up on your skills, and I'm going to need to do that if I expect to get back on deck. Refueling, I can handle that in the F-18, no drama, but getting back on deck with a proper Case 3 recovery, it's going to have, there's going to be some study and some practice there, otherwise things are going to be a bit of a mess. So, cool stuff. this brings us to the end of another DCS sit rep for this week. The last one for June, actually. The year is really plowing on, but we do have some great content coming up and more news on the way, so keep tuning in every week. If you like today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe, share, and comment in the comment section below. If you'd like to support the channel a little more, there is now the Super Thanks button. Thanks to those of you who have already contributed. I really appreciate it. It's obviously not something I expect, but it does help the channel chug along, as I always say. Well, this is Prickly Hedgehog out. We'll see you next time on the DCS Situation Report. Take care, everybody.
All right. Use this time to shore it up, tighten it up. At this point, you're using a velocity vector on the horizon and the caret on the 355 line. And Juice will see, I'm braking.